Hey, what's up guys? Today is a very special day as it now is officially 1 year since I have been a vegetarian. And today I just kind of wanted to explain what my experiences have been since switching to being a vegetarian. So at the start of December last year, my girlfriend and I, we both decided we're gonna be vegetarians. And as far as the actual reasoning for that, I think the biggest influence on that was the environmental impact that meat production has. So we both decided that if we didn't eat meat, then we wouldn't be contributing to the environmental problems and the environmental harm that comes from meat processing. For me, there were a few other factors. My boss at work had been a vegetarian, and certain YouTube channels had sort of brought that influence onto me. But when we made the decision, it was like a big deal. It's like, okay, tomorrow we're gonna start no meat, let's do it! And one thing that we came to realize very quickly early on was that it's really not a hard transition at all. Obviously, you kind of have to change some things in your life, and I think one of the biggest things that being a vegetarian has taught me is the importance of cooking for yourself. One thing that if you're a vegetarian, vegan, or you have some friends that are, you'll know that going out to eat can be one of the biggest problems with this dietary restriction. Even going to somewhere like a Chili's or an Applebee's, you look at everything and you're just like, everything has meat in it. It's crazy. But as time goes on, you find the really good vegetarian restaurants. You find the places that work best for you. For me, that's been Chipotle. Chipotle is awesome. Their sofritas is bomb. If you have not had it yet, you need to go try it, even if you're a meat eater, because it is really good stuff. But learning to cook for yourself and kind of do some meal planning has been one of the staples of being a vegetarian. So cooking at home and sort of preparing your own meals was a must, and it was sort of a hard transition at first, but once you get used to that, you realize that you start saving a lot of money. And not just a lot of money because you're not going out to eat, but meat is pricey. One of the biggest staples in my life now is rice and beans and sort of variations of that, which can sound boring, but you can make it more fun with certain ways of mixing it up. But when you think about rice and beans, dry beans and dry rice, big bulks of that, it is dirt cheap. So that's another benefit of being a vegetarian that I've experienced over this year, is that I've saved quite a bit of money by not spending my money on meat products. Even things like frozen chicken breasts or, the really high fat ground beef, things like that. The more cheaper meats, it's still pricier than what you can get with plant-based alternatives. So when I became vegetarian a year ago in December, that was entering the winter training for my last year on the rowing team. So those of you who are collegiate athletes, you might think that changing your diet mid-season might seem like a crazy thing. And it wasn't something that I really took into consideration when I first made the switch. And when I had made the switch to being a vegetarian, I realized that I was missing out on one key sort of supplement that I should have been having after making that switch. And this supplement, it really applies to endurance athletes, and that is beta-alanine. And what beta-alanine does is beta-alanine helps buffer the lactic acid that starts to build up in your blood when you're doing hard, unsustainable efforts. And in rowing, that's sort of like the basis of everything. And so one thing that I really missed out on was being careful and sort of knowing that I needed to take beta-alanine throughout my season. So when it came to my performance over the course of the season, I basically stagnated. I'm not gonna lie and say vegetarianism made me so much faster because, again, I was missing that beta-alanine aspect of things. And so because of that, I didn't actually set any personal records for myself on any of the rowing tests or the rowing distances. I can contribute that to beta-alanine, but I can also contribute that to sort of after being in it for all 4 years, coming towards the end of, college in general. It was time to end rowing when the time came. A lot of factors, I think, contributed to that sort of performance stagnation, but I do think that the beta-alanine had a very significant effect on my performance overall. So if you're an endurance athlete, runner, swimmer, rower, cyclist, any of those endurance type sports, if you make a switch to vegetarianism or veganism, it's very important that you make sure that you're supplementing with beta-alanine to help keep your performance at that top level. So as the rowing season came to a close and sort of my college career came to a close, I was very well into being a vegetarian. I had everything all planned out. I knew what I was doing. It was very much just a daily rhythm, something that I was very used to already. As far as how I felt, just daily sort of feels, like energy levels, I don't think vegetarianism had any sort of negative impact on any levels or, energy, mood, anything like that. I didn't notice a significant, huge increase, but everything seemed pretty much the same as it was back when I was eating meat, at least as far as I can remember. Because I can't think of any sort of negative effects, I could associate this with potentially being a positive effect. But again, I don't know. I didn't feel any worse after becoming a vegetarian. So once summer hit and rowing was done, I was done with rowing, I was ready to transition into strength training. I knew going into it that there was a lot of sort of skepticism with meatless bodybuilding strength sort of training. But I also know that there were lots of vegetarian and vegan athletes that were out there that have accomplished so much as far as their strength, as far as their size, all without meat and some without all sort of animal-based products. So I knew that because of that I was going to be okay, and then as I started my weight journey, which I started recording my workout videos, which are my earliest videos on this channel, as I was getting stronger and bigger, I was having no issues, and I was doing that all without meat. My protein intake was arguably the highest it had ever been, and that was all without meat. I was getting between 250 to 280 grams of protein in a day. And the reason why I was sort of overshooting that protein intake was because certain vegetarian sources aren't considered to be the highest quality protein sources. So as a recommendation, it's recommended to eat sort of above that threshold of 1 gram per pound of body weight. But when I had first started out, I went way overboard with my eating. Like, I was just like, you gotta eat big to get big. So I was eating just stupid amounts of food. Regardless if it's vegetarian or not, it was a lot of food, and I got big from that. Yes, I put on muscle, but I also put on fat. So I think the big thing with being a vegetarian to know is that you can get heavy. If you're in a caloric surplus, you're gonna gain weight. It doesn't have to be because you've gotten meat and animal stuff out of your diet doesn't mean that you can't get, bigger in this region. So I knew at this point that being a vegetarian doesn't make you invincible to putting on some fat. And over these last few months leading up to this final 1 year mark, I haven't really ever felt better. My energy levels have remained high ever since I've switched to sort of the bodybuilding, strength training type of exercise. I've put on strength and size, and I'm as big as I've ever been. And I believe it serves as a great concrete example, as well as the other awesome athletes that are out there that have gotten strong and have gained muscle without meat or without animal products. It can be done, so don't just think you need meat to get bigger and stronger, because you don't. At one of my jobs, my boss had a sort of going away party as he was leaving the company. And at the sort of party, they had barbecued ribs there. And I remember, used to love ribs. Like, I mean, when people that eat meat, everyone loves ribs. Like, you do. You just do. But it was interesting because now that it had been about, 11 months or so since being a vegetarian, and I just decided to get really close to the ribs. Just like go up and like sniff them, And it actually like made my stomach upset. And I had zero urge to like pick one up and eat one. And I think that's just really interesting that your brain chemistry and your body's adaptation process to whatever lifestyle you put it in, how that really works. Because I haven't had any meat, my body has no reason to eat meat, and I feel like I would get sick if I even consumed some. And I think that's a very good point to be in, because now at 1 year, I have zero issues with the lifestyle whatsoever, and I know that I'm making a huge environmental impact by not eating meat. No matter what anyone says, one person can make a difference. And if we all thought that we can't make a difference, that's when nothing changes. So that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from being a vegetarian, and I know that I've helped influence others become vegetarian as well. So as a summary, being a vegetarian has been an awesome decision, and it's a decision that I'll never regret making. The only regret I ever had was being a collegiate athlete and not supplementing with beta-alanine. So don't forget to do that if you're a collegiate athlete. Other than that, if you're just a regular adult living a regular lifestyle, vegetarian is the way to go. Once you figure out how to make decently good tasting vegetarian meals, it'll be a lifestyle that you can attain as well. Anyway, I hope that provided some sort of insight to what it's like to be a vegetarian. It was a decision that at first I didn't know if it was going to be a sustainable thing or not, and I really thought it was going to be a big deal. Turns out it wasn't, and it's a better way to live, it's better for the environment, it's better for your body, and I'm really happy with that decision. Anyway guys, if you have any questions for me about what being a vegetarian did to someone like me, just ask in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer anything. Thank you guys so much for watching this. We'll see you next time. Thanks.